This is important because soon after the Peshawar blast, what's happening is in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the law enforcement itself is now up at arms and they're saying they're threatening the government with mass resignations if there is no serious independent investigation and the perpetrators are not brought to book. The mosque blast at police lines mosque area in the police lines area in Peshawar has claimed more than 100 lives, a lot of them policemen, and injured nearly 300. And these are all policemen largely, and they are coming up and saying this is enough. We are not going to tolerate this anymore. The Khyber Pakhtunkhwa police is actually on the streets protesting over the Peshawar Mosque blast. They are threatening collective resignations. Messages are doing the rounds, urging all the junior rank officers. There is an ultimatum that's been given. They're all signing collective resignations which they will hand over if there are no concrete steps taken and the perpetrators are not brought to book. In fact, we are hearing that ultimatums are being issued of 24 hours or 48 hours before which, and they're saying fixed responsibility, hold the culprits, we know who is behind the blast. And that's what they're alleging. The Khyber Pakhtunkhwa police is threatening to resign en masse if proper investigations are not done, or if the ISI obstructs investigation in the Peshawar district blast. Meanwhile, TTP's attacks are rising in Peshawar. Police officers have come out to the streets in protest against the police line mosque blast. Representatives of different schools of thought are also participating in the protest. The slogans of KP Police or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Police Zindabad and Aman Gavaru are also being raised by the protesters. Protesters are demanding that a JIT or a joint investigation team be formed to investigate the police line's mosque blast. On the other hand, Mardan police has also come out on the streets against the threat. Junior ranks of the police force in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province are threatening to resign en masse if a proper investigation into the police line mosque suicide bombing is not conducted, and if the KP province sees a repeat of such violence. Sushant Sareen.
Yeah, Anand, before I come to this issue, just let me touch on something that Ambassador Kirunath mentioned. Actually, they've not got $10 billion. They're not going to get it also. Bulk of that money, including what has been promised to them by the World Bank and by the Islamic Development Bank, is money which was already promised to them earlier. So there's no new money coming in. And it's not money for balance of payments or for budgetary support. It's money for projects. And that will come over a period of 3 to 5 years. So that money, right, if they are banking on that money, it's not going to come. And whatever nonsense the UNSG, this fellow who's deeply in love with Pakistan, I don't know whether he's a Pakistani agent of some sorts, but whatever he says, Guterres, I don't think anybody really takes it very seriously. But now to come back to the more important issue which you have touched, I think what has happened in the aftermath of that suicide attack is something very, very serious. When you have a police force raise fingers and cast aspersions and doubts on the ISI and the Pakistan army for its complicity in this attack, then you have a really serious problem on your hands. It basically means that the state has started to unravel. When you have police officers quit en masse or threaten to quit en masse unless a proper investigation is done, then you have a really serious problem on your hand. It means that your state is atrophying at a rate which is unimaginable. And the reason why this is happening is that there are reports that this fellow who was the suicide bomber was a guy who had earlier been arrested in, I think, if I'm mistaken, it not the Mohammed agency. He had been arrested earlier. He had been handed over to the quote-unquote agencies, which is the short form for the ISI, and then he was let go. Was he let go under the watch of Faiz Hamid? We are not sure. But clearly, he was the man who had been apprehended and let go, and he's carried out this attack. Number one. Number two, it is inconceivable. And regardless of whatever spin that the KP police guys, top-notch guys are putting right now, that the guy was in a police uniform, wearing a helmet, and he walked in. You really expect somebody to believe that nonsense? In cases like this, the strictest kind of scrutiny is done when anybody enters a place like this. Just go to Srinagar someday. Try and enter the Badami Bagh cantonment. I'm sure you must have tried it. No matter who you are, even if you are a general in the army, you go through that entire, process You are
Right.
vetted on three different occasions before you are allowed to enter in, right?
Correct.
You mean to tell me that these guys facing the kind of threat they have will just allow somebody on a motorcycle, a lowly cop, to just enter? Not even an SP, not a DIG, not an IG police. Are you kidding me? So clearly there are fingers which are being pointed out at the ISI
Right.
and the army, and the motives being attributed to them is that one, they're trying to delay elections. Number two, they are trying to show that we are in the midst of a war. These kind of things happen
Right.
on the eve of an IMF delegation visit, so that we can extract more money from the IMF. The IMF can
Correct.
give us certain concessions on the conditionalities, stuff like that. So there are a whole lot of and perhaps most of these are conspiracy theories. But the
Right.
fact that in a country these kind of conspiracy theories can start making the rounds at a time of such national crisis, I think does not augur well for that country or its ability to survive these
Right.
multiple crises.
And if the establishment thinks that it's okay to sacrifice law enforcement personnel or any human being just so that you can make a case or create a
Collateral
mahal
damage.
of no, but this is a failed state on display very clearly. They to expect any level of humanism, humanity from this lot is trying to expect that the sun will rise from the west tomorrow morning. But that's not going to happen. But like you said, I think the people's anger is on the boil on ground, and I agree with you there, and it's manifest. And in this region of Pakhtunistan, as the Pashtuns call it, or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, it's been brewing for the last 4 to 5 years through various forms of unrest. One of that is the militant form, the armed form, and moving